Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Life of Waste podcast series. And we are now at the seventh episode of the podcast series. You can remember that we stopped the podcast series with two Sinhalese episodes with Professor Nishar Fernando. And now today, we have the treat of having a discussion with Sudharshan Rajbhandari, who is one of the chief, I think you are the chief executive officer of CIUD now, is it?
I'm actually the program director.
Okay, the program director. Yeah. Thank you for correcting me. But of course, for Sudharshan was our main contact point for CIUD since 2018 when the R4D project started. And of course, I would very fondly remember Yash also, who also have been working with us in the past years since 2018. So Sudharshan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Malit. Hi, welcome. Hi, Malit. Thank you very much for bringing me this discussion.
Of course.
Thank you very much.
Now, let me briefly introduce Sudharshan and his team to you. Sudharshan and his team, CIUD, have been the Nepali partners, especially when it comes to the action research activities, because R4D is not just an academic research. It also focuses on implementing circular economy related activities when it comes to solid waste management. So Sudharshan and his team at CIUD has been instrumental in taking care of the action part. And I have had the personal pleasure of meeting Sudharshan and the team twice in Nepal, and of course, multiple times in Sri Lanka and also in India, in Kerala. So Sudharshan, shall we start by briefly introducing yourself and the CIUD to our viewers so that they can get a sense of what CIUD does and what you have been doing?
Okay. First of all, thank you, Malit, for bringing me into this discussion session.
No worries.
To showcase myself and as well as my organization. Hi everybody. I'm Sudharshan Rajbhandari, as Malit has already introduced me. I'm from Nepal, and I belong to an organization called Center for Integrated Urban Development. This organization is actually probably the first in Nepal to initiate, to address issues related to urban, context. We started back in 2002 to develop user-friendly solutions addressing the urban issues, whether it's water issues or open space management or waste management or wastewater management. We do a lot of extensive pilot projects demonstrating the simple technologies, how we can use those technology to solve the issues. And recently we have been working extensively in the WAS, which stands for Water Sanitation Hygiene. And we do a lot of community-based water supply systems, ensuring safe and affordable water to the drinking water to the community people. And we have been also working extensively in the urban water management, mostly on the rainwater harvesting and the shallow groundwater recharge projects. And also we have been working on solid waste management, because waste management is one of the major issues in the Kathmandu Valley. So we have been promoting a lot of pilot projects, and as well as doing a lot of campaigns to segregate waste at the source, and also to promote TR and to minimize the waste that has to be sent to the landfill site. So meanwhile, we also got contact with the NCCR, which is our counterpart in Nepal, as a research-based organization. It was our opportunity to have a brother team to work together in waste management issues, especially in South Asia. And but probably we discussed about this later in detail. So, and my name is Sudharshan, as I said earlier, and I have done my master's in development studies and also in urban water and sanitation. And I've been into this organization since 2016. That means it's been 8 years and a half since I was here in this organization. Thank you.
Yeah. So now you might have a sense of how and what CIUD and Sudarshan's team is doing. I would like to also remember dear Professor Vishnu Preti, with whom we also recorded a podcast, and the podcast is available in YouTube, our third episode. And of course, the time that we spent with Vishnu and Sudarshan's team has been amazing. Especially, I would very fondly would like to remember how you took us to observe the waste management activities in Sistol, which is the waste dumping site in Kathmandu Valley, which is an interesting phenomenon to look at. We'll be discussing about it a little bit later. And also, we also had the opportunity to interact with few community-based organizations, especially of waste workers, in my very first visit in 2018. Also, in a very recent visit in 2023, also we got to interact with them and see how they have organized themselves, especially women waste workers, to seek better welfare. And CIUD have been playing a major role in facilitating their well-being and also contributing towards the organization of waste workers altogether. So kudos to CIUD for all the great work you're doing. So I would like to start, Sudarshan, our discussion about R4D by maybe discussing about why was it so important for CIUD to join a project, a research project on solid waste management? What's the issue that you just mentioned about Kathmandu city having waste as a big problem? Can you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, well, let me start with the waste management issues in the valley. The Kathmandu Valley actually is the composition of 18 municipalities, including two metropolitan cities, Kathmandu and Rajbhandari metropolitan cities. They all have the one single dumping site, and it has also been used by another 5 municipalities of the peripheral sites areas of the valley. So that means 22 altogether. So that means a huge challenge. And it was the only dumping site was a sanitary landfill site, and later it has been used by 23. So obviously the exponential growth of the waste, dumping of the waste into the site has really created a havoc in terms of, like, brought a lot of issues, environmental issues, social issues, like leachate problems, like health problems of the local people living around the landfill site. So we have, which is why we have always been promoting the 3R principle. So we have to, segregation of the source at the site, and the reuse and recycling of this waste, as well as the composting, biocomposting, to ensure that a very small amount of waste actually goes to the landfill site. So and it was an opportunity for us to join the R4D project, because this was a research project, and we have always been thinking of developing evidences. Whenever you take voices, you need some evidence, and this was an opportunity for us to be part of this research project, to generate evidence. The database information are very crucial, and CIUD has not been being part of the research, but we do a lot of demonstration projects, which is why it was a very great opportunity for us to also initiate the research projects. And NCCR approached us back in 2017, late 17, to whether there was any opportunity that NCCR can collaborate with CIUD based on our previous, information, previous history of working on the West. So I had a discussion with Dr. Vishnu Preti of NCCR, and it was so he chose CIUD as a counterpart of this project from Nepal side. And it was very interesting that, because we developed this project, we had a draft preparation of we prepared the draft proposal of this project in Colombo in 2018. So this is very and then this is how the journey began, actually.
Journey began. So of course, Sudarshan, as you just said, this collaboration between you and the NCCR was instrumental for us to get access to the Nepali field, because especially for our viewers, understanding from what I've gathered in multiple meetings we have had with Sudharshan and then Dr. Vishnu and the team from Nepal, is that the environment, the political social environment in Nepal is quite different to the political social environment that we experience in India or Sri Lanka, because Nepal was coming out of a major disaster that also instigated waste management issues. That was the earthquake that happened in Nepal, especially that devastated the Kathmandu area. And also, at the time, Nepal was also coming out of a political turmoil as well. And I think the situation is still, there's a confusion in terms of political management, and there are lots of issues and challenges that the Nepali government and the citizens are facing right now. But of course, Nepal being a relatively new country who is developing technologies related to governance and waste management, it has been a great opportunity for us to explore and see how a country develops its waste management activities, especially by not being dependent, just like in Sri Lanka, on the government sector. Because if you look at the waste management sector in Nepal, it's almost 100% run by the informal sector with the support of the formal sector. Am I right, Sudharshan?
Well, actually, there are, one of the things that I would like to add on what you have just said earlier is, besides the turmoil and the earthquake, we had also faced the informal blockade imposed by India. And one of the things we wanted to see in this research was how we manage the waste, municipal waste during those crises of earthquake, blockade, and of course political turmoils. Because at the time, as you said earlier, Nepal was just transferring from a constitutional monarchy into the federal democratic government, and then we also adopted the federal system, and this has divided the country into three different layers: federal, provincial, and local governments. And there is a local government act, and one of the areas, one of the duties and responsibilities of the local government is to manage their own waste. And as you have just asked, we have a different kind of the scenario in the, especially in the Kathmandu Valley, because Kathmandu Valley, though it sounds like a single city, but there are 18 different municipalities, and none of them have their own landfill sites. So and that's why the landfill site, the sister landfill site that you have mentioned earlier, it belongs to the Kathmandu metropolitan city, but due to the lack of similar landfill sites to the other municipalities, they have been all using it. That's why there is always some political tensions between the because and another interesting thing is the landfill site where the 18 municipalities dump their waste belongs to another municipality. So there is always a clash between local governments within the Kathmandu Valley and the local that area where the landfill site is. So there are people to people class. There are government to government class. But because they don't have another option, so they have to sometimes face. They have to listen to whether it's a rational, as a legal demand or illegal demand, as a rational or irrational, but they have to listen to it because they have no alternative. So these are some of the tensions going on. Later, we have a new elected mayor in the metropolitan city, Balin, because after his election and in position in the metropolitan city as a mayor, now there are some changes. He has been able to, have a good relationship with the local governments of that area.
So to add to Sudarshan's point now, R4D project have been very closely monitoring and studying and exploring the wastscape in Nepal. Also, I think the very recent research by one of the PhD researchers of our project, of the Spirit project, Ms. Tena Shakir, has also has pointed out that in Nepal, waste tend to play a very big political role, especially in the Kathmandu Valley. In the very recent election of the mayor, also that it played a very major role. So Sudarshan, now, as you have pointed out, we would also like to explore a little bit more on how the waste collection happens in Kathmandu Valley. Because now in Sri Lanka, our audience is somewhat aware now how the waste collection happens, how the local councils are responsible for door-to-door collection of waste, and how the segregation is a must. And in case of India also, we have briefly discussed with Rennie regarding how the waste is segregated and how the waste is managed in India. And also we are now planning to have a discussion on how waste management happens in Switzerland also. But it would be a great opportunity for our audience to get to know from you if you can explain a little bit on how the waste collection happens within the Kathmandu Valley, and what are the key activities undertaken by the local councils and the public-private partnerships. How does it work?
Yeah, okay. Well, in Kathmandu Valley, all the municipalities have allocated the private sectors, private sectors, to collect the waste from door to door. In earlier days, Kathmandu Metropolitan City used to have their own team to collect the waste from the public places like temples and streets, But now they have assigned the local private sectors. There are a lot of private sectors working in the valley, collecting. They have been designated different areas to collect the waste. So apparently, like 100% waste is being collected by the private sectors. But all the municipalities have 100% private sectors working, but not all these private sectors have been able to reach out to all the entire area due to the lack of access, and they only choose those areas where there are a lot of people, a lot of houses in the dense populated areas. Anyway, for example, in Kittipur municipality, where I belong to, they have only been able to reach out to like 75% of the households. So 25% households have their own way of managing waste. So private sectors collect from door to door, and some private sectors have their MRFs, the transfer stations, or MRF. MRF stands for material recovery facilities. So they bring waste at the MRF stations where they segregate further, and they use for materials, and then send up the other remaining waste to the landfill site. Whereas some private sectors are simply, collecting. They are just collecting waste from the house to without segregation. They just simply dump into the landfill site. So they are not all private sectors are doing the similar job. Having said that, some private sectors, for example, there is a municipality called Sankarapur municipality in the northeastern part of the valley. So they are doing a very good job. I mean, the private sectors, which the name of the private sector is Blue Waste to Value, and this company actually doing a lot of good job. I mean, they bring all the waste into the transfer center first, or MRF, and they segregate, and remaining waste is sent. So this way, they not only recover useful materials that can be sold to the vendors for the recycling, and they can have a separate income generation. Also minimize significantly the volume of waste to be sent to the landfill site. So this is an exemplary work done by that company.
Yeah. And Sudharshan, I think now under the R40 project, you guys created multiple miniature projects under the project, right? And I specifically remember, because in last time in Nepal, when we had the meeting in Kathmandu at the Shangri-La Blue Hotel, I remember you shared a book and a book of instructions that you had developed in Nepali language, right? So can you elaborate a little bit on the outputs that you have given out of the project?
Yeah, okay. So that was one of the outputs I consider as from the R40 project. That was about how to manage biocomposting. I mean, the perishable waste or biodegradable waste into compost, because like our calculation is like 60%, average 60% of the household waste is biodegradable waste. And that can be simply converted into compost for the organic farming, whether you do it in the kitchen gardening or rooftop gardening or in the larger organic farming. Because they have a nutritious value. So they need to be retained back for the agricultural purpose. This way, we will not only be growing organic food, but also we can, minimize the significantly can minimize the volume of waste. Because the leachate, one of the major problems of leachate, one of the major problems of the landfill site is a leachate, and I believe that it's the organic waste that actually causes a lot of produces large amount of leachate. So
Mhm.
that's why we published that book to motivate people to do the household composting method, whether it's a pit composting, box composting, or composting, because based on the area that you have, you can do the different type of composting.
Yeah.
Because our motive is people should do it and keep their biodegradables at their home. So that was our objective, and we distributed the books to the people to, to motivate, like.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
luckily, some municipalities have been doing this, especially during the COVID, the pandemic period of pandemic. They develop online trainings about how to promote kitchen gardening and the ductal gardening, as well as organic farming. And they have also distributed the bin, waste compost bins. So for those people who are willing to do this, and also we also
Mhm.
produced one video from the Art project
Yeah.
about how we can keep our biodegradables at home and do the composting and everything.
Yeah. So all the material that just Sudharshan mentioned are available both from the CIUD website as well as also from the Ways of Life official website as well, which I have included in the description. Now, because Sudharshan, you touched upon the waste management in the COVID-19 period, could you also touch a little bit on, can you explain a little bit on how the waste management activities changed in the COVID-19 period? Whether it was the same as the period before COVID-19, or what were the changes, major changes in the waste collection activities?
First of all, interestingly, there was a very small amount of waste generated during the period. It's significantly less than what it used to be because of less human activities.
Yeah.
And there was, and most of the waste was the food waste, biodegradable waste, because there were no any other sort of activities going on at the household level.
Yeah.
So, so that was the thing. And as I said earlier, because collecting households during the pandemic period, due to the lockdown, collecting waste from households was also a big challenge. And in Nepal government recognized the waste workers as the frontline workers.
Of course.
And also people had a different perception among those waste workers, because earlier they used to be simply waste workers, but now we understood the value. People understood the value of those people, because they challenge, they took the risks of their life in collecting waste from the household, because there's a possibility of contamination from those waste as well, because they have to handle it directly. So people understand how important those waste workers, and they were recognized as important as the doctors and nurses, as the frontline workers. So that was a good thing. But the waste generated was mostly perishable or biodegradable waste, and they were, and in order to ensure that most of them stay back home, so Kathmandu Raipur Metropolitan City promoted the online training programs on biocomposting as well as ductal gardening and kitchen gardening.
Okay.
So this is how it happened, and but the waste management was the waste collection just went on regularly, despite the pandemic and the possible risks of their lives. So they really did a good job. I mean, yeah, and and they were the life insurance for those people were also done by the respective companies, and yeah.
Okay, so that in a way that you were saying that the social discourse regarding the waste workers became quite positive, and then that's a trend that we also noticed here in Sri Lanka as well. But later on, after a while, our upcoming discourse paper actually argues that they were heroified, that they were given the hero status, but later on they were made they were made the villain. So Sudharshan, another thing that I remember is that in one of the meetings that I took part in Kerala, I got to know that you guys got another grant from the National Science Foundation to further the activities that you had organized under the R4D project. So could you elaborate us a little bit on what the grant was and how you managed to implement better waste management activities using that fund?
Yeah. Yes, Melissa. Actually, there was another call made by the RBD, or you can say SDC, Swiss National Science Foundation. That was only for those organizations or institutes who were doing the RBD projects. So since we are doing that project, so we were eligible to apply, and we actually we applied in a team, and that was only that call was only for the NGO, not for the academic institutes or universities. So we had a team that was from Nepal. We were CIUD, and from India it was CED, and from Sri Lanka it was Deficient. And we also we had a IAWAG from Switzerland and Universal Solution. So we teamed up and we applied, and luckily the grant was successful, and the call was. And the project was granted. That project was called Transformation Acceleration Grant. So we actually, that was more like a action-oriented project. I mean, what you have learned from the previous RBD projects to imply those knowledge, information into the action. So that was the call was developed that way. It's more like from knowledge to action kind of thing, and the project was the mechanism. The project was like developing a transformation technologies and transforming. Like it's more like a south learning, as well as developing whatever the technology that you have in terms of waste management. So we put them all into the one basket, and then we share this basket technologies to all the the partner organizations, and not only partner organizations, to partner organizations. We also take that message to those local governments and private sectors who have been working on the waste management. Unfortunately, when the project was about to begin, there was the pandemic happened, and we were held back for a few months, and we had to make some modification. We had to modify the project approach. So instead of providing training, we had a lot of online discussions, planning, and when the pandemic was almost gone, then what we did was we developed a project. We modified the project in a way that because it has been understood that Center for Environment Development has been working extensively in the waste management, and they have also been promoting green protocols in waste management. And we have also told that Kerala is very good in waste management, whether it's a household waste or municipal waste or industrial waste or hazardous waste or anything. So, and the idea was like organizing exposure visit from the local stakeholders as well as stakeholders from Sri Lanka, to gather in Kerala, and we explore how things work. So that was a major activity of that project. So we all went to Kerala. From Nepal, we also invited the municipality as well as some private sectors, and also from Sri Lanka, and we explore how things would happen. We had on-site observation of the waste management, especially like biomedical waste management, everything. And after our visit, we initiated biomedical waste management in Nepal, in Kitipur municipality, from the learning we had from the visit. So because of the limited resource, we wanted to initiate something that has not been done before, and that was like managing waste from the healthcare centers or hospitals. So we call it biomedical waste or healthcare waste. So in Kitipur municipality, there are 12 healthcare centers, but they have not been managing the waste from that separately. So they are simply being dumped into mixed with the municipal waste, and actually there was a huge probability of contamination of the entire waste. So, so it has to be separately managed. So we had a discussion with the Kitipur municipality. We proposed to have a centralized waste management, and this is how it happened. And one of the major outputs or say outcome of the project was that the Kitipur municipality has now is planning to initiate the centralized biomedical waste management. from the
Yeah.
TAC project.
Yeah. So it's quite evident that from both of these grants that you have done a lot of work, especially I also got the chance to visit the incineration facilities and the biomedical waste management facilities in India. So thank you so much, Sudharshan, for applying for that grant. Not just me, two more academics from the University of Colombo also got the opportunity to come and explore these facilities, which are actually state of the art and actually being managed by the Medical Association of India. It was a wonderful facility, and it was a very eye-opening experience for us on how difficult it is to manage medical waste. So finally, Sudarshan, I would like to ask very briefly for a very brief question. That is, what are your key learnings from the R4D project, and how has the being a part of the R4D project, being a partner in Nepal, has contributed to the activities of CIUD since the R4D project?
The first thing is the first output, this significant, achievement of this output project is we have been part of the research. So we initiated a research project. So that has not been done before. So we have already been saying that we need to conduct research projects to develop evidence, because when you talk about the policy dialogues, when you need policy briefs, you have to have evidence. So this project has helped us to develop more evidence in terms of waste management. Now we have some proof. We have papers, or like technical papers.
Yeah.
Another achievement is we have now entire network. Now we are sitting together discussing, because now we came to learn each other through the R4D project. So this way we have a lot of South Asian partners as well as international partners. This is good beginning. And the third is we have been able to develop a good relationship with the municipalities where we have worked. And I would say even TAC project is the result of the R4D project, because TAC project has really been able to initiate something new with that municipality. I forgot to mention earlier one thing, that from the TAC project, we also handed over an electric vehicle to the municipality. That vehicle will go and collect the waste from the 12 health product centers and bring at one site where it is processed to manage it. So the autoclaving as well as So there are a lot of significant achievements we made from the R4D project.
So of course, Sudharshan, we have plenty of more things to talk about, but of course the time is quite limited. So I wish to thank you again for being part of the podcast series, because it was really important for us to bring in a partner from the non-governmental organization sector, because you guys play a major role in South Asia when it comes to development and sustainability. So CIUD have been doing that for a very long time. And of course, as you said, you have been doing great work since 2016, since you joined. And of course, Sudharshan's colleague Yash has been also been a wonderful friend to us, and also a wonderful partner from Nepal, who has been working very actively with us. And even in our very recent meeting, we had a wonderful time there. So shout out to Yash. And also, I would also like you to thank so much for facilitating the data collection activities of Tena's, our PhD candidate, because you initially supported her quite a lot when it comes to translations and making initial introductions and all of that. So thank you so much for that as well. And also, we should give a shout out to Tenas also, who very recently, about a week back, went into her wedded life. So Tenas and Ali, wishing you both, Sudharshan and me, and the R4D team, a wonderful wedded life. And after that shout out, I would like to thank again Sudharshan for joining with us for this podcast. Today, the episode, of course, we'll be joining with Sudharshan again in another episode to discuss more about the specifics of the R4D project's findings, especially. So Sudharshan, thank you again for joining with us today, and of course, enlightening our audience about the outcomes of the R4D project. Thank you again, guys. Please do not forget to join in our coming episodes, because we have partners from India talking to us about the Indian waste management activities. And also, we're looking forward to discuss with Professor Rennie about the Swiss waste management system. So thank you so much again, Sudharshan, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Marit, for this nice discussion. Look forward to seeing you again in next episode. Thank you very much.
Of course.
Thank you,
Of course.
Take care. Take
Thank you.
care, Manish.
Thank you so much, Sudharshan. Thank you. See you guys.